Up next on Heroics, we have hot health trends, the good, bad, and the ugly. Sarah, can you just tell us a bit more about what are these trends that you see?
Oh, well, let's see here. A big trend we see right now is we see keto. That's one of the big trends. Yeah, it's a big trend. Everyone,
I've heard about it.
yeah.
Is that the one where you can't eat anything that grows underground? Or is that the wrong one? I'm thinking about the
Well, it
other
kind
one.
of can be that way.
That's the
It
way
kinda
they
can.
explained it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I should check with someone like you.
Well, keto is really basically what it's doing is it's putting your body into a state of burning fat for energy. So it's putting you into a state of ketosis. Ketones are, fat basically to be burned for energy, right? And so it's basically a high fat diet. And so basically it's typically, what's so great about keto is it's good for weight, energy, mood, metabolism. And those are some things, that's why it's gotten so popular. It's also popular sometimes in the cancer circles, sometimes the diabetic circles.
Well, it sucks that we have these circles. Like, oh my gosh, my cancer circle, my thyroid. Not a laughing matter, but
popular in those areas because it is using fat instead of sugar to create energy, right? So but then there's also another side to it too, and that's what we find with these fads. I call them flash fads because they come on so quickly, and everyone's like, and I'm going to do that. And there's so many variables that come into play. Here's a few things with the keto diet that I just think you need to be careful of is, first of all, the fat quality that you're eating. A lot of people are disregarding the quality and they're just going all in for the fat, right? And that's really, really important.
I did avocados. That's a good one, right?
That's a good fat.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Awesome fat. And then they're also disregarding fibers. And that's really important because the microbiome is really dependent upon essential fibers for the gut. So it can chew on your fibers and then create the immune forces and the protective forces that it does for us. And really, it only takes 2 days of not having sufficient fiber for the microbiome for them to begin changing form and not be as optimal. Right?
Oh, wow.
To not have the virulence and the vitality that they need to do the fight for us every day.
So what's the good fat then?
So, good fats, you want to keep it clean and organic, ideally, right? A lot of people are, I'll have a steak and some bacon for breakfast or, bacon and eggs for breakfast. But is your bacon organic? Are your eggs organic? Those are important things. And then also, a lot of people, if they say they're toxic, they're not likely going to be metabolizing fats well on a cellular level. Okay. And also, if someone doesn't have a gallbladder, that's going to make also this type of diet difficult for them because they're not going to be able to produce adequate bile to emulsify the fat, right? And so those are some really important elements. A few other elements about the keto as well is that, let's say someone has low hydrochloric acid. Remember, we've talked about that, low hydrochloric acid from high stress or diet, lifestyle, environment. Then what happens is that that's the beginning chain of almost the beginning of the chain of the digestive process. And what's happening is if you've got low hydrochloric acid, then you're not signaling the gallbladder, which is known as the bile sac, to release the bile into the small intestine where it will then emulsify the fats. And so then it's going to be causing this log jam in the process. I know so many people who've gone on the keto diet and they end up miserable because they're not metabolizing the fat either on a digestive level or on a cellular level. So you've got to make sure you can do that. And if someone is, let's say, if someone has a pre-existing hormone condition or kidney disease, or they're missing a gallbladder, or also they're diabetic, you really need to check with a qualified health practitioner before you engage in something like the keto diet. You really should.
You've done keto, haven't you?
Oh, God. No, they're good, bad, and the ugly. I loved it in a lot of ways. Went to keto within 3 days. I had super energy, was not hungry, was not carb craving or any of that. That was good. I never could get into ketosis. I had the little strips, and I would dip them in, 3 times a day, and I was just moderate ketosis. And I kept on saying, you can't have much sugar and you can't have carbohydrates. I mean, I think it's 40 grams of carbohydrate or something like that. After that, you can't get into ketosis. And you're basically trying to you trick your body into you're in starvation mode. And by eating all this fat and protein, the body thinks, I need to, burn energy a different way. I love the fact that I felt better. I did trim fat, which I was hoping to do, but I realized that I really wasn't in ketosis most of the time. So what I did is I started introducing salad. No carbs. Well, carbs, but not breads and muffins and pastries, right? So I went after salad, and I started adding salad. And I even was afraid to put tomatoes in because of this amount of sugar in there, But I said after a while, I said, you know what? 2 months later, after I did the keto, I started realizing I'm eating a lot more protein. I'm eating a fair amount of fat, but I'm only eating just salads and just, vegetables and things like that. And so I kind of fell into the paleo diet, I think. I don't even know what paleo is exactly. You probably could tell us, but it seemed more paleo, and and I've been there ever since. And I think that it was a great diet to start in. I think it might be hard for people to get there and stay there, because when you go out to eat, when you go to a restaurant, you're traveling.
So rigid.
You're traveling on the airplane, you're going to starve yourself. It's really, really tough. I don't think it's bad to start there, but I'm not sure if people can sustain, and I don't know long term if it's actually sustainable. I think paleo might be, so I'm still figuring that out. But I think keto's got some good, bad, and something else.
Yeah, yeah. And also something we have to remember, we need those beautiful foods that contain polyphenols and free radical fighters and antioxidants in them. Those are our true shield against these free radicals that we've learned so much about, which are origins of much of the inflammation and disease that we're seeing today.
So keto might have worked, in the dark ages, or maybe thousands of years ago when we didn't have all this environmental stuff going on, but it's harder to work now.
Great. So to summarize, the good of keto is?
For metabolism, weight loss, energy.
Great. And then the bad?
Really hard to do. Really hard to pull off. And I think that, to your point, Sarah, it's like you're going to be missing some nutrients. And I think
key fibers,
the fiber stuff is going to be a killer after a while. So buyer beware.
Yeah.
Buy a can of psyllium or something. Psyllium doesn't have any carbs, does it? Or maybe it does.
No, but again, the variety is so important for the body. It's so important for the microbiome, and that's the threat of these fad diets, is that people get so polar on that, and then they're forgetting about all these other elements that the body needs. The body wants and needs variety. It needs it to keep it on its toes, keep the immune system on its toes. And to protect you, doing it in a smart, strategic way.
So the ugly then is, what's the worst case scenario that people should be worried about with keto then?
I think a big thing is if they're not able to digest.
Wow, yeah.
Digest the fats, or if they're not able to assimilate them on a cellular level. Here's the thing that we don't realize is that when we're exposed to all, environmental toxins, let's just say benzene, for example, in car exhaust or jet fuel, that impacts a major gateway into your mitochondria where you produce energy. And it's a log jam. That particular toxin is a log jam, and then you're not able to actually shuttle fats into the mitochondria to be used for energy. If someone has that log jam going on, it's not getting to where it needs to go to effectively be burned for energy, right? So, that's looking on a more micro level, but, there are factors in individual cases that can make this not a good experience for people. And also someone who has adrenal fatigue, I would be careful as well in the beginning, because they can run low blood sugar as well. I'd be very careful with that.
Great, thanks.
Wow.
Wow. What's the next one? We have collagen, don't we?
Oh,
Was
the conundrum of collagen.
Yes.
It's another big flash fad.
Yeah.
Flash fad. But it's, collagen has a lot of good things going for it. I mean, we've been making bone broth for years, and one of the great things we extract from that is collagen. And what is collagen? It's really the components of tissue in muscles, skin, ligaments, organs, the lining of your gut, things like that. And so we're seeing a big flash of this now. I walked into Whole Foods the other day and there was literally like this huge wall. It was all collagen
I know,
of
I
all
saw.
these. I thought, wow, it's really true. This
That's
is
a lot of bone broth.
yeah, it's the collagen actually, and it's just people are really, really on that right now for skin, for aesthetic purposes, also for gut healing, and also for muscle tone and repair and rebuilding. And that's the beautiful thing of it, is that it is great to help replenish those parts of our body, those tissues that may need that micronutrient, right? Really, really important. But then but collagen is basically a really, really, really broken down protein. That's all it is. It's just really, really, really broken down into a highly bioavailable peptide form. So your body says, oh, thank you very much. Doesn't even have to digest it or break it down, right? It can just slip right in. But the con is that what we're seeing with collagen is that we have to remember that we eat whatever we ate. Right?
Right.
Got it?
Right.
Got it.
Right. Yeah.
Got it?
Just took a second
if you
there.
are if you're consuming collagen from a cow who's been grazing on bright green glyphosate ridden pastures and organophosphate sprayed pastures, guess who's getting it in their body? You, when you consume the collagen. And it's so concentrated in the collagen. This is where animals store toxins, is in the muscle, tissues, and ligaments and bone of their bodies. And so we have to be really mindful to, when we have a collagen, have grass-fed collagen. That's why I just carry a grass-fed collagen of really beautiful, pretty cows in Switzerland who've never been exposed to glyphosate or pesticides, because I don't want my people being exposed to that stuff.
Right.
But that is a reality of collagen. Another thing is that it's high in proline, and that can, if someone has a tendency towards oxalate kidney stones, then that can be problematic for them. And it's also high in histidine. So if someone has a propensity for histamine issues, then this kind of can build up in time the bucket of histamine. If someone's low on a certain enzyme that helps break down histamine, or maybe they have seasonal allergies, and I call it the bucket of histamine, right? We've got this bucket of tolerance. And say you've got seasonal allergies and your nose is running, you're sneezing, your histamine levels are going to be higher, right? And then if you start eating, higher histidine and histamine releasing or containing foods, then that bucket's going to go even further.
Oh, right.
So we just need to be mindful about that say someone has a histamine issue, that collagen potentially could be aggravating for their system.
Wow, okay.
That's
There
a
you
lot
go.
there.
Yeah, so again, to summarize for the audience, what's the best thing, the bad thing, and the worst case scenario?
A great
collagen?
thing is that collagen is super bioavailable protein. That's great for that. The cons are you need to be mindful about it being organic from grass-fed cows, non-GMO.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm just
welcome.
curious about in the whole collagen world. It's I've noticed, and it might just be me, but I've noticed so many people having connective tissue issues or injuries.
Something to that.
Tendons and like calf stuff. I've just never seen so much in sport, like KD for the Warriors. That just that injury he had, and then all these basketball players are having this. Now this may be forever, but I've seen a lot of football players. The Broncos have several guys with Achilles tendon. And then I know personally 5 or 6 people who have had this torn calf, gastrocnemius or something like that, and same thing all the way up and down. It seems like there's a explosion of connective tissue issues, and doesn't collagen play into that world some?
Well, collagen is the fabric of the connective tissue. But what happens too, something to consider here, and this is interesting, is that excessive high release of cortisol from high stress, from real, imagined, physical or emotional or whatever, environmental, diet, lifestyle, environment, high cortisol over a period of time will result in what's called ligament laxity.
Oh.
Yeah, it makes the ligaments weak and makes an athlete much more prone to injury.
Yeah.
Have you seen that much in your practice?
I have, yeah. I work with a lot of professional athletes as well, and people that also just have hobbies as athletes. And you see that when people are highly stressed. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so they always have an adrenal restoration component as part of a program of working with me, because we have to restore their adrenals, and we have to repair them and rebuild them, after every training session, after every event. So we really focus in on restoration of not just tissue, but also the adrenals and the whole system.
Wow.
Okay. And then there's another trend, some call it bursting. What's the other name? It's interval training.
It's interval training. Yeah.
Right. So what's the trend there? What do you see happening in that trend?
I think it's great. One interval training I am particularly fond of is bursting, and that's basically.
So that is.
It's like
the same.
Yeah, it's like an interval training. This is basically you're lowering cortisol, right? You're basically lowering insulin, and you're raising human growth hormone, and you're raising leptin, which is huge in metabolism and satiation, and you're suppressing ghrelin. So I'm a fan of what's called bursting, which is something, because here's what happens is a lot of people, they'll just go do aerobic exercise and they'll be on the Stairmaster for like 45 minutes or the treadmill for 45 minutes. What are they doing? They're raising their cortisol for a high duration of time, and they are shutting the doors to fat burning. Right? So what's really beneficial, and I found to be just really easy, is bursting. So basically you warm up for like 3 minutes, and then you burst all out for 30 seconds, and then recover normal for 90 seconds, burst all out for 30 seconds, and do 4 to 8 repetitions of that. And when I say burst, I mean you can't be carrying on a conversation. You're feeling the burn in your legs. You are giving it your all for that 30 seconds. And I like to see it done on a recumbent bike, because you're really using the quads and the glutes and that's where you've got so much muscle there, and you've got a huge store of insulin receptors there, because our insulin receptors are in our muscle. And so that's where you can just really, really get a good push. And it doesn't take that long. It doesn't take more than, just a few minutes, every other day. So there you go.
What about yoga with weights? I'm seeing that coming around. Is that, because there is a lot of movement. They're doing aerobics in yoga, and they're carrying weights around. Does that get the bursting going or no?
That's not bursting.
Bursting.
That's going to work the metabolism in a different way. That's more resistant,
Got
which
it.
is valuable in itself. Yeah.
Right.
But what I like to see, especially with the burnout crowd, preventing burnout, is to have resistance training going on, and then to on another day do a bursting type of thing, right?
What do people need to watch out for when they're doing bursting?
If you feel lightheaded or dizzy, clearly stop. And, don't push it beyond your own means.
Any other trends that you...
Yeah, there's one I wanted to mention. It's, because it's a good one. It's intermittent fasting. It's fasting.
Right.
Let's talk about fasting first of all, right? Fasting, a lot of people, they want to go on a fast. Like, I'm just going to drink water for 5 days. And it's like, oh, so much of your body needs so much more than that.
I remember I was going to completely give up meat for just forever, and I just started, and the next day it was just the worst day of my life.
That's not a fast.
I did it wrong, but I really was hangry is the word.
Yeah, hangry.
I'm already really pale. I was a ghost.
Oh my gosh.
So fasting, what a lot of people do is they do it as a means to detox. They'll do like a 5-day fast or something. But unfortunately, what's happening there is they're actually slowing down part of the liver that actually needs to detoxify chemicals that we're exposed to every day. So it's just not something that I highly recommend. Like if you really want to do, if you really want to detox, talk with a functional medicine practitioner who can really guide you through a functional detox to really support your organs of detoxification properly. But another type of fast we're hearing a lot about is intermittent fasting. And it's something that I'm actually a fan of because keto and intermittent fasting, they have similar results, but they're quite different in themselves. They're both dipping into burning fat for fuel and energy, but intermittent fasting is what I like to see is like a 16-8, a 16-hour window of not eating and then an 8-hour window of eating, and it can be done really pretty easy. Basically stopping, say if you stop eating at 6 p.m. at night and you just don't eat again until 10 a.m. the next morning, you've given your body a nice chance to kind of restore and rest and to begin dipping into your fat stores for a moment of, some time of ketosis. So it's not as rigid as the keto diet, but you can still get really good results from that. Again, if you're being strategic and eating proper foods and have your diet, lifestyle, and environment really balanced around it as well. So who I wouldn't recommend intermittent fasting for is, say, someone who has adrenal fatigue, someone who's so burnt out, their adrenals are burnout. You really need to be careful with that. Adrenal fatigue, or if someone has a history of hypoglycemia, you need to be really careful. You don't want someone dipping into hypoglycemia and pushing themselves into a hypoglycemic attack. So all of this is always within balance, and always best to speak with a qualified healthcare practitioner to see if it's the right choice for you. I see a lot of people jump on bandwagons and they crash because it's not the right choice for them.
Right.
So you just have to be careful with these things and take it one step at a time.
How do you organize the 16-hour fast with your social calendar? I mean, I can't imagine, let's say, 6 o'clock dinner. I don't think I've eaten 6 o'clock dinner since I was 9. I mean, if you go out and you dine, right, you're eating 7:30, 8, 9, 10 sometimes, right? So what do you do? So you eat at 9. And then you can't eat the next day till 3 in the afternoon or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, and also what you can do is you can try it on for 2 months and tell your friends, I'm trying this for myself to see how I feel.
Yeah.
They'll be behind you. Yeah. Do the same with your family and try it on. I like the 6 to 10. That's what I find doable for my body. I'm like, okay, I can cut it off at 6. And from thereafter, just have liquids, have non-glycemic liquids, tea, water, Pellegrino with some lemon, something like that. And then working my way to the 10 a.m. period in the morning.
So what do you eat in the morning? Like, so 10 o'clock in the morning, are you eating breakfast? Are you eating brunch?
I'm having breakfast.
Okay, and what would be a good thing to eat after
what I
this?
like to have, so that I introduce really just very bioavailable nutrients to my body, is I have what I call a smart smoothie. A smart smoothie. And if you want to check out the smart smoothie, there's actually a free smart smoothie ebook on my website that you can just go to and download at getnourished.net. And that is basically do a lot of education about how to make a smart smoothie, because I know if I have a smart smoothie, I'll digest those ingredients in a really efficient manner. It's loaded with antioxidants. It's loaded with beneficial fibers. It's loaded with a bioavailable protein, and loaded with lots of leafy greens, low glycemic fruits, and it gets me off to this nice balance of a start. And then, I'll have lunch. Maybe it'll hold me over for 4 hours, and then I'll have my dinner at 6, or by 6 I'll be done with dinner.
Wow.
And then wait until the next morning at 10 to eat. So that's what I found to be easy. It's the easiest one for people to grapple with. I found you could go 7 and then eat at 11, but it's easy.
A little trickier.
Is that mainly for weight loss, or why fast?
Yeah, and so this is intermittent fasting. So this can be for hormone regulation, weight, energy, mood, and just really giving the body, even digestive, just giving the system a chance to rest digestively and for your metabolism to really kick in without having any new inputs of sugar in, right?
Perfect.
Any new inputs, like say someone's got insulin resistant. This is good because we can give the body a break from getting the clue of insulin from another feeding for a little while, right? So it just helps put the brakes on so that the insulin receptors can eventually kind of wake up again and be a little more receptive.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
There you have it, guys.
Dinner in Boulder tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect. That's the good, bad, and ugly of trends going on right now. Thanks, guys, for joining us at Heroics. See you next time.
Take care.
Bye.